What is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Stochastic NHL Strategy Show. I am your host, Josh Harris. We got a 6-game slate here on Saturday. MMA going on right now. They're in London. We had a 14-game slate on Thursday, one yesterday. I played a little showdown, whatever. But we do need to shout out our neighborhood-friendly thespian daily deposit Frostback. Almost shipping everything he was in. He finished 7th in the lotto. Couple winner-take-alls. I think he turned $41 into over $600. For him, that's his Super Bowl. So, and that's not to take it the wrong way. Like, when you grind low stakes like that, getting that big of a win is a tremendous feat. But yeah, congrats to you there. It was just a really, really big slate, and there's a lot of avenues to victory there. Pavel Dorofeyev had a hat trick. Utah, Genther just missed a bonus, but Gibson was good. His daily deposit Frostbacks Ducks were good, but let's not dwell on that monster slate because I'm still tired from breaking it down on Thursday. 6 games is more in our wheelhouse and helping me to break it down, as always, in his Shea Weber jersey. So, Cliffy, what's going on?
Yeah, that would be is he still on the payroll or is he on Utah's payroll? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, not a whole lot going on. Busy day in the NHL. There are 8 afternoon/early evening games and then 6 tonight. Just one last night. Okay. Kind of sucks for Columbus. They're really hitting a cold snap at the wrong time. They lost last night 6-3. I posted this on I forget if it was Twitter or Blue Skies, one or the other. Up until the end of February, in losses, Columbus had shot 7.3% as a team. And in the month of March, in their losses, they're shooting 3.5%, something like that. So, obviously, I think they've been shut out 4 times in the month of March, 3 or 4 times. They just hit a really bad cold snap, or, cold streak at the wrong time, kind of pushing them out of the playoffs. You got to wonder what would happen if Monahan hadn't gotten hurt. He wasn't MVP caliber up until he got hurt. There weren't a lot of players that were more important to their team through the first 3 months of the season than Sean Monahan. He was playing in all 3 facets. He's playing, 19 minutes a game. He was playing like elite hockey. Just really sucks. So hopefully they can kind of turn things around, make it interesting over the final 4 weeks. We'll see. But 6 games tonight. It's pretty big injury news from one team in particular, but in a couple spots, there's some injury news we're obviously going to have to hit. There are a lot of, we'll call them subpar defensive teams on the board here tonight. Montreal, not that great defensively. New Jersey, we'll get to them in a second. Pretty big slide defensively over the last couple of months. Nashville, obviously. Seattle, not great. Boston and San Jose is the incredibly bad defensively Super Bowl. So it's a weird slate where there's obviously some bad teams mixed in, but there's a lot of bad defensive teams that are also at least have one good line or are just generally good offensively. So it's kind of an interesting slate in that sense.
Yeah, there's a couple of really key injuries, obviously, on this slate. Big game for Montreal, but this is one of the worst possible matchups for them. The slate just gets worse as it goes on, I think, is the key. Colorado, Montreal is cool. Ottawa, New Jersey probably sucks, but they're both 2 playoff teams currently. Toronto's in the playoffs. Nashville blows. Detroit, Vegas is fine because Vegas is in the playoffs. Detroit will play hard. But then the last 2 games of the night are just absolute ass. Seattle in Edmonton without McDavid and Draisaitl, and then Boston and San Jose. It's so funny. We were talking about how bad the Sharks are after they traded Wallman, and the schedule, like I think it was the Islanders in there the first time. It's like almost any team would be better. And then it was like the Preds were in there. Boston was in there. Chicago was in there. So just like, this is just the worst possible stretch of games for DFS in San Jose. We couldn't get one good team in there, but it is what it is. Look at Daily Deposit Frostback in the chat and awake. Sometimes he sleepwalks himself into the chat and talks about how he's going to stack McTavish even if he's not on the slate. But let's get into this slate before we do. MLB packages have gone live. So if you click that stochastic link in the chat and use promo code CYCLE, that will give you your first week for $1. That will give you access to all the tools, the sims, the projections, the ownership projections. If you've never played MLB, it's very similar in a sense to NHL, and the sims slap. So why not try out the first week for $1 and see if you like it? It will renew on April 4th. So you have it until April 4th for $1. So if you are interested in that, it supports us further, and you get sims for a week for $1. And again, if you want to go premium in the other sports, golf, basketball, hockey, obviously, MMA, it's all in there. But promo code CYCLE will get you the first week for $1. You could do weekly or monthly if you plan on having it renew. If it's month, it will renew at the monthly rate after that. But let's get into this slate. Let's start with a big game for the Habs. It could be trouble for them. Colorado Avalanche with a 3.4 total heading into Montreal. The Canadiens have a 2.6 total. Colorado going McKinnon, Nichushkin, Drouin, Netchis, Nelson, Lehkonen. Montreal going Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Line, Newhook, Roy, Gallagher, Dvorak, Anderson. Now, they flip-flop Nelson and McKinnon last game. That makes that top line fully correlated and under $20,000. Now, McKinnon, Nichushkin, Drouin have a very good sample on the season. 4.42 expected goals, 3.7 actual per 60. That's in over 200 minutes. That is really, really good. It's not McKinnon, Netchis, Lehkonen good, but 4.42 expected goals per minute is still insane. It's fully correlated and under 20K in a really, really good spot. Now, if you don't want to leave off Netchis, like Drouin is cheap enough and Nichushkin is cheap enough to where you can just 4-man or 5-man power play stack here. You add in Netchis and Makar, that makes the 5-man 34,400. It is really expensive, but we've seen it way worse. There are many of slates this season where you couldn't even possibly imagine power play stacking the Avs. If you want to leave off Drouin and add in Netchis, I think that's another thing you can do. But for 3,900 in top power play, I think I just full stack Colorado 1 and then think about adding in a Netchis or a Makar. That second line is 18K, and you only get Netchis on the top power play unit. So for me, it's really only Colorado 1 or Colorado power play. On the Montreal side, like I never really want to X out a team on a 6-game slate. And Montreal 1 has been really, really good. But Colorado is really, really good defensively. Like, even when they had Georgiev and whomever, they were still fine defensively. It was just the goalies were atrocious. Now that they had Blackwood and Wedgwood, that's really shored them up. If you get to some Montreal 1 in MME, I think that's perfectly fine. But in my single entry, it's going to be really hard for me to get to Montreal 1 at 18-2 when Colorado 1 is right there, fully correlated for $1,200 more. So you want a one-off line, you want to get to some Montreal 1 in MME, I think that's fine. But this game, to me, is about Colorado 1, Colorado power play.
Yeah. Obviously, Colorado is very much the team that we should focus on here. The top line being perfectly correlated for Colorado is really what tips it in favor here. Is like if this was, McKinnon, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, or something like that, then then you'd have to think, do I want to make it perfectly correlated? But like this line being perfectly correlated in what is a good power play matchup. Like Montreal has been taking fewer penalties, but they've been giving up some more goals against. Like, when Montreal's penalty kill was at its best, it was above average. It certainly wasn't like an elite or a great penalty kill. So any kind of slide there, which we have seen basically over the last few weeks, makes them average to below average. And that's not great when you're facing a Colorado power play that's been lights out since Nate just got there. Part of it is the Colorado power play shooting 23%, which is high, but if they were like 18, 19%, I wouldn't flinch that much. So it's not like extreme or anything. So, and the other thing is I was looking at how McKinnon, because McKinnon and Natchez have played away from each other a little bit since Natchez got traded there. 75 minutes for McKinnon without Natchez on his line since the trade. 79 shot attempts, 3.2 expected goals. Like it's just crazy. So I agree with you on Colorado 1. I find it hard. I don't find it hard to leave Natchez off. He's not, obviously he's not, as far as power plays go, he's not in that Patrick Laine conversation, but Natchez still probably going to play 20 minutes, 21 minutes. That second line is going to get the second and third line matchups from Montreal, which are pretty good matchups. So like you said, I don't have a problem with just making a full power play stack. I have no problem. Like, sometimes when we talk about the Leafs, we talk about how you just, if you want to stack across lines and do like Matthews, Nylander, you can. I think this is a case where if you want to do like McKinnon, Drouin, Natchez, I think that's fine. Like Natchez is a tremendous player, and I kind of hate just leaving him off his stack. But yeah, I really do like the Colorado side here. Obviously, so I actually almost kind of surprised it was only a 3.4 total. I'm going to be honest. I thought it'd be a little bit higher, but really, really do like Colorado 1 here. Obviously, they have the third highest top 2 stack on the board, so there are going to be a lot of people on them. So maybe you do want to get a little bit different power play stack or something like that. But Colorado 1, it's in a great spot. I think the case that I will make for Montreal 1 again is that 18,200. Slavkovsky and Caulfield are playing 19 minutes a game. Suzuki's around 21 minutes. They are perfectly correlated. Over the last 25 games, the Colorado penalty kill really hasn't been that great, like below average. Montreal power play has been good, and this has been a perfectly correlated line. But, Colorado's still been great at 5-on-5. So it almost feels like one of those nights where like a one-off Patrick Laine doing like, a Laine Hudson 2-man, like those types of things are what I'll be more inclined to do than just flat out stacking Montreal 1. So for me, this is a Colorado game. So Colorado power play, Colorado 1. Colorado 2, like I do think there's merit to playing them just because they will get pretty good matchups against the second and third lines. And we know Natchez will probably fit in pretty well with Brock Nelson, I imagine. So same thing with Arturi Lehkonen. Like I don't mind playing Colorado 2, but I think I would go Colorado power play, Montreal 1, Colorado 2, in that order for stacking. I honestly, though, like I said, I think my favorite thing on the Montreal side is like a Laine one-off, Laine Hudson 2-man, Suzuki, Laine Hudson, like those types of things.
Yeah. Max Studio, I will reach out to somebody about that. If you are on Twitter, DM me. So I have your DM, and when I get an answer, I'll reach out to you. If you're not on Twitter, we'll figure something out. Ottawa Senators with a 2.7 total heading into Newark, New Jersey. Questionable at best. The Devils have a 2.8 total. Devils going Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, Stefan Nason, Brat Glass Holla. Ottawa going Kachuk, Stützle, Zetterlund, Cousins, Batherson, Perron, Pinto, Giroux, and Ridley Grieg. Is Fabian Zetterlund the answer on Ottawa 1? I don't know.
Honestly, what I'll say quickly is the way that I'm treating this is I'm pretending Josh Norris is on the top line because I think him and Zetterlund are kind of equivalent players.
You're gonna make a Quick Party a little angry with that, but here he is. Fabian is in fact the answer. He's inhaling all the copium. However, as we were talking about before the show, since the Devils lost Jonas Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton, they're really bad defensively. So I still don't know if I'll get to Ottawa 1. For 16-4, I'm willing to find out. It's not like they're like 19-1 with Claude Giroux there or whatever it was. They would have been 17-5 with Claude Giroux. Fabian Zetterlund's only 3,200. And I'm willing to find out against a Devils team that is pretty compromised. Now, I still prefer Cousins and Batherson. And if you want to, you can do whatever you want with David Perron. But I like Dylan Cousins has been the best Senator since he got there. You can argue Brady Tkachuk, but like that's an obvious answer. Like outside of Brady Tkachuk, Dylan Cousins has been their best player. I'm interested in Cousins Batherson. It's a cheapish 2-man. They're under 10K for the two of them. They're both on the top power play unit. They avoid the Nico Hischier line, which is, really not that great defensively without Siegenthaler, but like better than the other two lines. So I think it would be Ottawa 2 for me. Again, if you're going for some mid-range building, I think Ottawa 1 is fine considering that they're $1,100 cheaper with Zetterlund than Giroux. On the Devils side, 14% projected ownership on the Devils top line. Like they've been good, don't get me wrong, but like the Sens are a good defensive team. And I don't know if I want to spend $17,100 at 14% ownership for a Devils team that has been struggling without these guys, without Hughes, without Siegenthaler, without Hamilton. Hamilton and Hughes, like Hughes is obviously the best offensive player. Dougie Hamilton's easily their best puck-moving defenseman. So, they do have a 14.4% top 2 stack. It's fine, but like for $2,300 more, which can seem like a lot, but like McKinnon, Valeri Nichushkin, Drouin is right there for $2,300 more when Colorado 1 is normally like 21, 22K. We have Vegas 1 for $900 more. We have even Montreal 1 for $1,100 more. We'll talk about some other cheaper lines in the mix as well. I think they're fine, but at that ownership, they're one of the chalkiest lines on the night, and I think I prefer the Sens side. I think you do like a Brat one-off. I think that Brat Glass 2-man might be my favorite thing from the Devils side.
Yeah. Jonas Siegenthaler went down. He got injured in early February. Since early February, the New Jersey Devils are dead last. I do mean dead last in the NHL by expected goals against per 60 minutes of 5-on-5. Worse than Chicago, worse than Anaheim, worse than Nashville, worse than Seattle, worse than Buffalo. Dead last. Expected goals for per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 since the Siegenthaler injury. Not dead last. 25th. This team is bad. Like at a certain point, you can only lose so many pieces. Like Dougie Hamilton is their best puck-moving defenseman. Jonas Siegenthaler is their best defensive defenseman. You take those two pieces out of a lineup and replace them with like Brian Dumoulin and like I don't even know. Like I forget who's coming in for Nemec. Like somebody's coming in for Nemec, and like it just doesn't even matter. They just don't have that. Like Brett Pesce is not the guy that he was 5 years ago. Jonathan Kovacevic is a good player. Yeah, I think he benefited a lot from playing with Jonas Siegenthaler. Like there just isn't the defenseman to be able to carry the offense or the defense that there was. This team is not good. Like I don't know how else to really say it. So if you're asking me to play the top line from a team that is genuinely not good at 14% ownership, I'm probably going to pass. Ottawa has seen their own defensive slide in that same span. It's not anywhere near as bad though. And this New Jersey power play's not been that great without Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton. Like they were kind of getting by without Hughes. Once they lost, or without Hamilton, once they lost Hughes, like it was just game over. There's just too many pieces gone from the top unit. So if you're asking me to play a super chalky New Jersey Devils team, like that's just an easy pass for me. Like you said, I think I'd rather go play Colorado. We get to teams like Vegas and Toronto in a little bit. Like there are just other spots I would much rather go. I don't even like a Glass Brad too, man. Like honestly, there's just not a lot that really excites me about this New Jersey team. I was looking at projections. Like if you want to play like a one-off Nico Hischier or a one-off Jesper Bratt, like Bratt's down to 6,300, which I think is at 6,300, which I think is a reasonable price. I think that's okay. Full stacking, like I'm just out. So it's the Ottawa side that's more interesting for me. Whether or not Zetterlund is the answer, I don't know. But this is a line that's 16,400. 2 out of the 3 are on the top power play unit, Tkachuk, Stützle, and Batherson. And like I said, you can make an argument they're facing the worst defensive team in the NHL right now, and they're coming in at 4.5% ownership. Like, if you want to dip down to Ottawa too, because Cousins, Batherson, and Perron are basically a filler stack, like I think that's perfectly fine. Cousins and Batherson, 57 shot attempts, 2.2 expected goals, only 70 minutes together, so I wouldn't really read a whole lot into that. But they're creating well offensively, so I think it's fine. But given the fact that 2 out of the 3 guys on the top line are on the top power play unit, given the fact that they're on a little bit of a slide, maybe Zetterlund will be the boost that they need. But given the fact that they're playing such a bad defensive team, I have no problem going to the Ottawa top line here at 16,400. It's a nice mid-price stack. You want to take out Zetterlund, put in Cousins, or put in Batherson or something like that, I think that's fine because New Jersey has been taking more penalties. I was going back to the start of February, New Jersey Devils at 3.1 times shorthanded per game. The only 2 teams taking more penalties are San Jose and Buffalo. If you go back to early January, they're 8th in the league by time shorthanded per game. Like they're taking a lot of penalties, and we know how good the Ottawa power play has generally been this year. So if you want to go like Tkachuk, Stützle, Batherson, Tkachuk, Stützle, Cousins, I think that's fine. I think Ottawa's top 2 lines are both very, very playable here. It kind of depends. Like they would be my secondary stack to something else. Like I'm not building around Ottawa, but if I have a 17K line that I'm playing, and then I want to put another 17K-ish line, I put in Ottawa 1. If I'm playing a $19,000 line and I need a filler, then I go play Ottawa 2. That's just kind of like Ottawa is my secondary stack here tonight. I'm not building around them, but I'd way rather play the Ottawa side than the New Jersey side here tonight.
Yeah, Dennis Cholowski coming in for Simon Nemec.
Yeah, that's it. I'm in love with the Cholo. I see, like, does Dennis Cholowski for Simon Nemec, and given, like, I like Nemec as a prospect, but he's been god-awful this year. Like, Dennis Cholowski, okay, think of all the injuries that the New York Islanders had, and the New York Islanders were like, we no longer want your services. This is the guy that's now coming in to play for the New Jersey Devils. This is how bad this blue line is now. I don't see anything exciting about this team. And now that I say all this, 6-1 New Jersey tonight. We'll just lock it in.
Yeah, but like Lebowski is better defensively than Dennis Cholowski at this point, and he pisses on rugs. He doesn't even care about hockey. Counterpoint, the Islanders are brain dead. They're one of the worst franchises in the history of sports. So yes, they are definitely brain dead. Miserable location on the planet. There isn't a worse location in the continental U.S. than Long Island, and I will argue that to the death. Toronto, I was going to say the Toronto Islanders might as well be when they get knocked out in the first round again. Toronto Maple Leafs with a 3 total heading into Nashville. The Predators have a 2.5. Toronto going Matthews, Marner, Nyes, Nylander, Tavares, McMahon, Domi, Robertson, Holmberg. I saw an article. No, it was your tweet. It's like, how do we get or something about a Lawton slow start?
Yeah, no, it was. What are the factors leading to Scott Lawton's slow start with the Leafs? And I just hit Control F and put in he's bad, and it was 0-0.
First round pick, baby.
I don't really know what people were expecting here, but anyways, good luck, Toronto.
I'm just saying, like, I know Torts is awful for DFS. He gets the best out of a certain type of player, and Scott Lawton is one of those players. So he's not going to be the player he was in Philadelphia. He sucks. Anyway, Leafs, I think, are the most expensive on the night. Leafs won at 21.5. Like, they're fine because Nashville sucks. Like, no one won the offseason more than Nashville, and no one's lost the regular season more than Nashville. And Brunette is blaming their players with the long tenured contract. Like, Brunette is definitely looking to get his ass out of Nashville. I'm not, he's obviously lost the locker room. Who cares? Yada, yada, yada. I still don't think I would spend up for Toronto 1 at 21.5. 7.5% projected ownership. I think a Matthews one-off, he'll probably come in right around 10%, is fine. You want to go to Toronto 2. They're 17-2, almost 11% projected ownership. They've been good there with McMahon. Like, he is the most comparable player on that line to Pacioretty. Like, Holmberg doesn't do shit for them up there. Like, Domi up there is just kind of me. Like, Bobby McMahon is the closest replica you can get to Max Pacioretty on this team, and it's not surprising that they have good offensive numbers with him. 17-2, 10.7% projected ownership. It's like, it's fine. But, like, do I really want to stack the Leafs on the road without Matthews? So, like, it's fine. I just don't love it in single entry. I think it's more of an MME type deal for me. So, like, you want to do some sort of Leafs power play stack, that is probably where I would go in single entry and build around Matthews and Nylander. Either of the top two lines are fine. It's just like the price on Toronto 1 is a little high considering that Colorado is, $2,000 cheaper. And then Toronto 2 is in a really good spot, and I like them. It's just like, I want Matthews. So in single entry, it's kind of hard to stack either one. I'd rather go to a power play stack. I think in MME, both are fine. On the Nashville side, I don't ever want to say I'm really out on a team like I did with Montreal. I think I would go to one-offs here, like a one-off Forsberg, a one-off Bunting, a one-off Vrana, a one-off Marchessault. I don't think I'd full stack anything.
The thing with Toronto 1 for me is that, again, it's this situation where, like, Matthews is, I think, priced just fine at $9K. I also think Marner is priced just fine at $6,600. It's Matthew Nyes at $5,900 that is kind of just throwing everything out of whack. I'll bring up his projection from Stochastic. 8.31 points, 1.41 fantasy points per $1,000. Like, just to put that into perspective, Marner's at almost 1.5, and then you have Matthews at 1.78. Like, it's Nyes that's easily the worst value on that line. And I hate leaving a guy off a perfectly correlated line, but I think this is a case where you can do it because Nye should be like 5K max. He just hasn't, like, he has spent a lot of time this season on the top line. He has spent a lot of time this season on the top power play unit. And he's averaging what? 1.8 shots per game. Like the only reason he's having such a good year is he's shooting like 22%. Like if he was shooting like 16%, which is still pretty high, he'd be on pace for like maybe a 25 goal season, maybe, while averaging under 2 shots per game. Like I just find Nyes to be overpriced where Matthews and Marner are just fine. So like I have no problem doing like a Matthews Marner 2-man, Matthews 1-off, those types of things. It's just including Nyes at his price is, I think, just kind of missing the point. So if you want to do like a Matthews Nylander 2-man, I think that's just fine as well. Like this is a really good matchup for the Leafs. Going back to February 1st, speaking of teams that are bad defensively, Nashville Predators 24th in the league by expected goals against, worse than Columbus, worse than Montreal, worse than Seattle, worse than Boston. Like this has not been a good defensive team for almost a couple months now. I think it's a pretty good spot for Toronto 1. I was looking at like Ryan. God, these guys are bad. I was looking at Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg. Their numbers since Christmas: 3.7 expected goals against, 4.4 actual goals against per 60 at 5-on-5. I think that's what Andrew Burnett was talking about when he talked about his veteran players with tenured contracts. These guys have been awful defensively. I mean, not like bad. I mean, like last year's Anaheim Ducks bad. Like it is abysmal. I think it's a tremendous matchup for Toronto 1. I just really don't like Nyes' price. I think he should be at least $1,000 cheaper, if not more, for what he's done this year. So for me, it's like Matthews Marner, Matthews Nylander. If you want to put in Nyes, like it's okay. I have a hard time believing that he'll really pay off unless the top line goes absolutely ape. Whereas, you know, if they have 2 goals, maybe he has like a goal with 2 shots and then it's fine, but it doesn't really bring a lot of value. So I think I'm more into like 2-mans from the Toronto side than full stacking. I'll also highlight Toronto 3. Not that I'm super into them, but like if you're playing like a Colorado power play stack, Vegas power play stack, like those types of things, like maybe you need some cheap guys. Pontus Holmberg and Nick Robertson, 63 shot attempts, 2.1 expected goals. There aren't great offensive numbers, but that Nashville depth it's almost worse. They're almost worse than the top line. So I think they're fine. So it's basically like 2-mans from the top power play from the top 2 lines for me from the Toronto side. On the Nashville side, like, I don't know, man. Like I said, I guess it'd be O'Reilly and Forsberg, just because as bad as they are defensively, they have had some passable games offensively. At 17 and change, though, I'd rather just pay the extra $1,000 to go play Montreal. We'll get to Vegas in a second. I'd rather go play Vegas. So, like, I don't know. I'm just out on Nashville.
Yeah. And 31 minutes into the game, the Rangers just scored on their 4th shot on goal, and it was a shorthanded goal from Adam Fox.
I mean, it is pretty funny to watch the Vancouver Canucks get PDO'd, considering they've been they did their PDOing, like they PDO'd their brains out last year. So it's funny to see it go the other way. Anyways,
Rangers. Anyway, Detroit Red Wings with a 2.5 total heading into Sin City. The Golden Knights have a 3.5, highest total on the night. Like with Cliffy, I was surprised that Colorado didn't have like a 3.7 or something like that. But Vegas has the highest total on the night, so here we are. Vegas going Eichel, Stone, Barbashev, Dorofeyev, Hurdle, Saad, Carlson, Smith, Roy. Detroit going to Brinkat, Kane, Casper, Larkin, Raymond, Rasmussen. I'll start on the Detroit side. Like, Detroit, since Todd McLellan has got there, have been extreme power play merchants. It's a pretty good power play spot. The issue is Vegas just doesn't take any penalties. They're one of the least penalized team in the league. So in single entry, I'm probably out on Detroit. Like, obviously, you can have like a one-off to Brinkat, one-off Kane, one-off Raymond, one-off Larkin, something like that. If you really, really want, it's not something I'm going to be doing. If I was making 20 lineups, I'd probably work in like one power play stack, like Larkin, Raymond, DeBrincat, or Larkin, Raymond, Kane, just on the off chance that Vegas takes 3-4 penalties tonight, because Detroit's power play has been really, really good since McLellan's got there. But, Vegas just doesn't take a ton of penalties. So it's really a Detroit power play stack in MME. The Vegas side is a lot more interesting, and it's also a really good power play spot there for them. I'm kind of in a pickle on what to do here. I feel like I want to go back to the second line, and it kind of feels like chasing points since Dorofeyev just had a hat trick, but they've been the better line. They get middle six matchups, which are better. You still get 2 of the 3 on the top power play, and you could leave off Saad and add in Eichel and go double center with Dorofeyev. I think that's probably what I would do. I think full stacking Vegas one is fine. I just want as much power play as I can get. And it's cheaper with Hurdle and Dorofeyev is having an excellent season. That line has been very good. Eichel, Stone, Barbashev, outside of the first few months of the season, hasn't. Now, they ran into some shooting percentage issues after Barbashev came back, and maybe that fixes itself. But again, I'd rather save the money, go to Vegas 2. If you wanted to make it more expensive, add in Eichel and go from there. So Vegas 2, Vegas power play, Detroit power play, and MME.
This is a really interesting matchup because you talk about Vegas not taking penalties. Neither does Detroit.
Yeah.
Since February 1st, these are the 2 least penalized teams in the NHL. Over their last 30 games, these are also the 2 least penalized teams in the NHL. So neither team takes penalties. Here's the funny thing is that since January 4th, I was looking like over their last 30 games, the Vegas penalty kill is 28th in the league, and the Detroit penalty kill is 29th. On the flip side, the Vegas power play is 2nd, and the Detroit power play is 4th. So these are 2 teams with great power plays, awful penalty kills, but neither team takes any penalties. It's kind of tough. Like, both teams could get like 1 power play here tonight. Now, both teams could go 1 for 1 pretty easily, given how good their power plays are and how bad the PKs are. But it's one of those situations where if they can get on a power play, it's a really good matchup. It's just a matter of getting a power play or 2 power plays, or heaven forbid 3. For me on the Detroit side, it would be the second line. Larkin and Raymond just really haven't done anything without Marco Casper. I think that's something that's gone kind of unnoticed, maybe not by Detroit Red Wings fans, but but by other people that don't watch the Red Wings super closely. Since Christmas, 170 minutes without Marco Casper on the line, 2.5 expected goals, or 2.4 expected goals, 2.5 actual. They're like league average without Casper. And then you look at what the second line has done with Marco Casper: 4 expected goals, 2.9 actual goals. Like, they've been really good. Like, Casper has been the guy to fix whatever line he's been on, which is why I'd be more interested in that second line of DeBrincat, Kane, and Casper. 16,800 is a bit expensive, but there's still a mid-price stack. Casper gets about 16, 17 minutes. you get 2 out of the 3 guys on the top power play unit. If you want to take out Casper and putting Larkin because it is a quote good power play spot, I think that's fine. But it is the Detroit second line. That's the only line I have interest in. Like they put Casper on that second line because they need help. They need someone to help carry that line, and they're still trying to figure out who else is going to be on the top line because they haven't found anybody else yet. I got to wonder if our boy Craig Smith is going to get a shot here shortly. Either way, it's Detroit 2 for me. On the Vegas side, Vegas 2 has been really good. They're up to 100, or they're up over 100 minutes now. 3.2 expected goals, 74 shot attempts, 3.9 actual goals per 60. They're not getting a ton of ice time, 15 to 16 minutes. That's the thing that kind of worries me, is that with William Karlsson back, the top guys are going to lose ice time. And I think like Stone and Eichel are going to play like 18, 19 minutes, probably like 19 minutes. This line is probably going to play like 16 minutes. And then the third line is going to play 15 minutes a night. Like William Karlsson's going to get 15 minutes a game, 13 to 14 at even strength plus some penalty kills. So I do worry about them losing ice time. I don't mind Vegas 1 here. I know Eichel, Stone, and Barbashev haven't been their usual selves, but they're still at 2.8 expected goals since Barbashev returned from injury. They're probably going to match up with the Larkin line, which honestly, without Casper there, might be the worst defensive line now. So, like, I think that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Is I like Vegas 1 here, but if you want to go down to Vegas 2, they have been really, really good, and they are mid-price stack, so you can fit them in with another mid-price stack. Like, I'm perfectly fine with that. I'd even be fine going down to Vegas 3. Karlsson and Smith, I got to imagine, are going to be fine together. Nicholas Roy got moved down. Brett Howden's going to be on that line now. I don't think that helps a whole lot, but Karlsson and Smith are surely going to be familiar with each other. They're going to be anything in that Detroit has in the bottom 6. So I think Vegas has 3 playable lines here, but for me, it goes Vegas 1, Vegas 2, then Detroit 2 in this game.
Yeah, let's get to a gong show before the circus. Seattle Kraken with a 2.7 total heading into Edmonton. The Oilers have a 3.2 somehow without McDavid and Draisaitl. Edmonton going Hyman, Skinner, Henrique. Excuse me. Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, Podkolzin. Then a bunch of guys. This is how dedicated Slim Cliffy is to you guys. Instead of enjoying a nice morning in the Atlantic Ocean, wherever he lives, that time zone confuses me. He was listening to a Seattle Kraken morning skate podcast to get you the lines. The top line is Beniers, Kakko, Neiman. The second line is Wright, Eberle, Jaden Schwartz. And then it's McCann, Burakovsky, and Tolvanen, I believe.
That's what it's probably going to be. They only confirmed the top 2 lines. But deducing by who else is in the lineup, I think it's going to be McCann, Burakovsky, Tolvanen. And
Stevenson is not with the team. That did get announced on Twitter not too long ago. This game sucks. And there's a lot of ownership here on Edmonton. Hyman, Skinner, Henrique, 14-6, 16.5% projected ownership. Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, Podkolzin, 15.5% projected ownership. I don't know if I want to full stack anything like that. And obviously their power play is going to suffer without the 2 best players, McDavid and Draisaitl. I think, something Cliffy and I talked about before the show is something I would probably be interested in, like just playing a couple guys on the blue line, but we'll get to defenseman at the end. I think I would stick to one-offs and 2-mans here, like a 2-man of Henrique, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, a one-off Hyman, one-off Arvidsson, something like that. Like Seattle's bad. And, without it being Beniers, Schwartz, Kakko, like, I don't think any of these lines are going to be decent defensively. We'll talk about defensemen at the end. I don't think I'd full stack anything here. I think I'd do one-offs and 2-mans. On the Seattle side, I'm not exactly sure what I want to do because obviously without McDavid and Draisaitl, Edmonton really hurts offensively. But defensively, they still have a full allotment of blue liners: Ekholm, Nurse, Bouchard, and Wallman. And you move these other guys up in the lineup, like they're more defensive oriented than offensive oriented. Like I don't know if Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, Podkolzin is going to be great defensively, but Henrique's a pretty good two-way player. Hyman's a decent two-way player. I don't know how much worse defensively they'll be is basically the point I'm getting at. If you want to play Beniers, Kakko, Neiman because they're really, really cheap and you need a filler, like that's fine. Like a one-off McCann, a one-off Wright. I think that right line will be interesting because Wright with line mates always interests me. So I think it would be that right line that I would like the best. It's just that I don't think it's a better matchup for Seattle just because their two best players are out. Maybe they get more zone time because of it, but they're still like Edmonton's still good defensively. So it's just, I'm interested in Seattle just because of how cheap they are. I think the Seattle side from a winger standpoint interests me more. It's just because of the price.
Yeah. To your point, I think the point that you brought up about Edmonton's defense, I think is the most important point, honestly, about this game. Arvidsson and Podkolzin have 110 minutes together without either McDavid or Draisaitl as their center. 2.1 expected goals against, 2.1 actual goals against per 60. Ditto for Henrique and Hyman, 1.4 expected goals against, 0.8 actual goals against. Like these guys have played together, not a lot, but 8, 10, 12 games worth of ice time over the course of the season and been really good together defensively. Offensively, that is another matter entirely. But I think this is still going to be a pretty good defensive Edmonton team. Henrique and Hyman have actually been good together offensively. Like, I think this is one of those, I joked about it in our Discord, like, get ready for the Adam Henrique 4-point night. I joke about it, but I don't. Like, Henrique and Hyman, 61 shot attempts, 4.5 expected goals, 3.3 actual goals per 60. Remember, there was a time earlier in the season when they had Hyman down on the third line. In fact, they did it like a few games ago, actually, as well, where he was down on the third line playing with Henrique, like game in and game out. So, they do have, it's like 80 minutes together or something like that. Again, not a lot, like 7 games worth of ice time, but they played well. So I'm not in so much on Nugent Hopkins, Arvidsson, Podkolzin. I think for me, it would be Henrique, Hyman, and Corey Perry. They are coming in with a lot of ownership. That's what worries me. I'm not just like 3-man stacking a line and then walking away. We'll talk about defensemen later. I think I like the defensemen from Edmonton better than the forwards. But if I play anything, it'd be Henrique, Hyman, and Corey Perry. Now, if you want to take out Perry and put in like Ryan Nugent Hopkins or something like that, I think that's fine. What I will note, this is the part where we get into why I'm not so high on Edmonton. It's because of the power play. I don't think this will shock anybody to hear. But I was looking at Edmonton's power play numbers just without McDavid. So this would include Draisaitl still being in the lineup, which he obviously isn't tonight. But Edmonton's power play over the last 3 years when McDavid has been out, injured, illness, whatever, shots, shot attempts, and goals go down 45%. Like, this is a good power play spot for Edmonton. This is a bad power play now. This is a Boston Bruins-esque power play. That's what worries me about stacking the Oilers, is that they're probably going to have to do it all at 5-on-5, even strength, empty net, those types of things. And it's like, I don't even know who's going to be playing with the empty net now. Like Henry will most certainly will be. Like Hyman most certainly will be. Is like Connor Brown going to be out there? Derek Ryan going to be out there? Like, because Draisaitl and McDavid typically do play quite often in those late game situations. It's not going to be those guys. So it's like, who is it going to be? Either way, like I said, I think I like the defensemen more than the forwards. On the Seattle side, again, this is not a tremendous matchup for them, but I agree with you about Shane Wright. Like I have interest in any time that he has line mates to play with, and he has Eberle and Schwartz to play with, who I think, if you want to call Jared McCann a center, then Schwartz and Eberle are their two best wingers. All due respect to Kako.
He'll be fine without respect.
Yeah, like Shane Wright is tremendous on zone entries. Jaden Schwartz has been shooting the puck a fair bit over the last couple months, more than he normally does. Jordan Eberle, he's kind of like a Mr. Can do it all, like 20 goals, 30 assists. Like he's a dual threat offensive player. Like I think that's the line that I would probably gravitate towards from Seattle. It's the only line I would really gravitate towards. Gonna be honest, I think like the defensemen are my favorite play on the Edmonton side. I honestly think whoever starts for in net for Seattle is my favorite play on the Kraken side.
Unless it's Grubauer.
I don't know, man. I might be ready to ride the Lightning. We'll see.
We tried that. Remember when we both had what was his name in net on opening night, and then they announced Grubauer? We're just like, well, we'll try it. 5 goals on 4 shots. It's like, God damn it. Boston. The Bruins. They have a 3 total. How bad are the Bruins that they are in the best spot in the history of spots and they only have a 3 total? Even the Islanders had like a 3.4. The Bruins are atrocious. Heading into San Jose, speaking of atrocious, the Sharks have a 2.9. The Sharks have a 2.9. That's how bad Boston is. Let's talk about it. Let me pull up these lines here because I still have the other game up. Boston, San Jose. Here we go. Boston going Pastrnak, Geeky, Zaka, Middlestat, Lettieri, Kolkepke, Lindholm, whatever. I don't need to keep going. So the Sharks going Celebrini, Smith, Graf, Toffoli, Eklund, Gaudreau. No, it's Wenberg. Gaudreau was there for morning skate. Wenberg should be playing tonight. If it's not, God help us all. Boston has the highest top 2 stack on the night, 27.5%, 14.4% projected ownership. They're 20,500. There is no world where I will stack Boston 1 at 20,500 when Colorado 1 is 19,400 and almost a good of a spot. Like, yes, it's an elite spot. Everything on the Sharks sucks. They're bad defensively. They have no penalty kill. Their blue line is pretty bad. Like, this line is fine offensively. They're not great. If I'm going to go spend up above 20,000, it's going to be for some Leafs power play stack or Leafs 1 or a Colorado power play stack. Like, I'm fine with the Pastrnak one-off. I'm fine with the Pastrnak Geeky 2-man. I'm not going to spend 5,500 for Zaka here. I think you could turn it into a power play stack, leave off Zaka, adding Casey Middlestat. That will bring it down to 19,600. That's fine. Like, I really don't want to play the Bruins. I don't think I've played the Bruins outside of a Pastrnak one-off all season. And it's a great, great spot, but it's just like outside of Pastrnak, I really don't want to play anything, but I think some sort of power play stack is fine. Like, Pastrnak is in his own little world on the stochastic projections. It's like Pastrnak, the next tier. I think he's projected for almost 20 DK points. I think McKinnon's the next at like 17 and change. So, like, listen, Pastrnak is arguably the best play on the slate here. He's 9,000. That's a fine price. Like, I don't want to play anyone else. If I would, I'd pair him with Geeky. I'd turn it into a power play stack with Middlestat, but I'm not super thrilled about Boston here. The Sharks side, listen, Celebrini Smith Graf at 15.7% is a scene. I think what I would do if I'm playing the Sharks is go Wenberg to Foley and then add in a Celebrini or something like that, because Boston sucks too. It's Korpisalo in net. Arguably that actually might be better than Swayman at this point, but 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't want to play that top line. I'll play Celebrini when he's with Toffoli, even without Wallman now, but like they're not together. I think you get Wenberg and Toffoli on the top power play unit. You add in Celebrini, it only makes the line $1,700 more. Gets the 3-man power play stack against Boston, which is just a shell of what they were. They're awful defensively. They don't have a good penalty kill. And if you're into the projections, like obviously we're into the projections, but like if you're a DFS player who solely relies on the projections, you'll notice that Macklin Celebrini has a higher projection tonight than Austin Matthews. So I'd find a way to get Celebrini in my lineup if I was playing Sharks, but I don't think I would do it with the top line at that ownership. I would add him into a second line power play stack and go about my day. If this game got bombed into the Red Sea by the United States Space Force, I would be extremely happy, but it's on the slate. We have to deal with it, and it sucks. But you have to consider both sides because both of these teams are an absolute abomination. It's like Underworld. They created a monster. They created a half Lycan, half vampire, and here we are. And Celine, if you've never seen it, that's the best part of this game is Celine. But anyway, that's me. I don't know how I got there.
I had no idea where that analogy was going. I'm not going to lie.
Me either. I just wanted to bring up Kate Beckinsale. We're Kate Beckinsale enthusiasts on this podcast. I'll tell you one thing. I don't really have a lot of interest in the San Jose top line. 15.7% ownership. Here's why. We mentioned it on the last show. Celebrini's numbers without Jake Wallman on the ice. 380 minutes at 5-on-5 since Christmas for Celebrini on the ice without Jake Wallman. 2.3 expected goals, 1.4 actual goals per 60. 3.1 expected goals against, 3.6 actual goals against. He's getting his brains beat in without Wallman on the ice. Now, Shakir Mukhamadullin has actually been decent since he got called up. So I thought maybe things have been better just specifically since the trade, since Wallman got traded. 6 games for Celebrini at 5-on-5 since Wallman got traded. 2.1 expected goals for, 3.9 against. 46 shot attempts for, 66 against. This guy's getting ran over at 5-on-5 without Wallman, period. That concerns me when you consider the ownership on him here tonight. 22% ownership. He's the highest projected forward of anybody on this slate. So you're telling me that the highest projected forward on the slate has been utterly awful at 5-on-5 without their best defenseman, who is now in Edmonton, and you want me to play him at the highest owner? Like, no, I'm not doing it. So I'm out on San Jose 1. San Jose 2 is where it's interesting for me because Toffoli and Eklund have actually been able to play well regardless of who they're with, whether they're with Celebrini, whether they're not, whether Wallman's on the ice, whether he's been traded, whether he's not on the ice, whether he's hurt. It doesn't matter. Like Toffoli and Eklund have been able to play well regardless. I was looking at their minutes without Celebrini, 3.3 expected goals, 3.3 actual goals per 60 at 5-on-5. About the same without Jake Wallman on the ice either. So like they've been able to play well no matter the situation. Toffoli and Eklund are on the top power play unit. Wenberg is not that expensive. He's only $3,500. They're coming in with half the ownership. They're $14K. I think San Jose 2 is where my interest is on the San Jose side. I'm going to be honest. If you want to take out Wenberg and put in Celebrini for power play exposure or whatever, I think that's fine. Celebrini does have a high projection. Like I said, I just think his season can be split into 2. Ice time with Jake Wallman on the ice with him and ice time with Jake Wallman on the bench or traded or hurt. They're two completely different players. So
For me, it's San Jose 2. On the Boston side, what I will note, I was just looking. I haven't seen any updates on their line. They knew the second and third lines last game. The only reason that's interesting is they put Middlestad and Lindholm together. Not that I think that they're good players, but it's not like San Jose has a whole lot on their bottom six either. And Middlestad and Lindholm are on the top power play unit, and the San Jose penalty kill is atrocious. So a Middlestat Lindholm two-man theoretically could be correlated both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. They're not that expensive, you know what I mean? Middlestat is 4,600. Elias Lindholm's 5,900. Oh, I didn't realize Lindholm was that expensive. Holy shit! No, I'm just going to play Boston 1 then. I thought Lindholm, for some reason, I thought Lindholm was like 4,500 or something like that. So no, I'm playing Boston 1. Sorry, I was about to say maybe you could go use a cheap 2-man for some power play exposure. I was like, no. Pasternak, Geeky, and Zaka since the trade deadline, 2.5 expected goals, 3.3 actual goals per 60. 2 out of those 3 guys are on the top power play unit. Like I said, Celebrity's getting run over without Wallman. I do like Boston 1 here, I think, more than you, but I also agree with you that I would rather go play Toronto or Colorado. So for me, they're more like MME, 20 max, those types of things. In single entry, I think my real genuine interest in this game is from San Jose 2.
Yeah, it's just like Boston's in a great spot, and I like them. It's just they're in no man's land where Colorado 1's cheaper, Toronto's a little bit more expensive.
Like, they're in no better of a spot than Toronto is. Like, they're in a better spot than Colorado, but Colorado is also a way, way better team. So,
I honestly, dollar for dollar, forget projections. I think Pasternak is one of the best plays of the night. Obviously, it's just like I don't want to. I don't know. Elias Lindholm. I'd rather play Matthew Nyes at his price than Elias Lindholm at his price. But anyway, let's talk about defensemen. The top of the board, the only one above 8 and 7K is Makar at 8K flat. Obviously, I think he is in a very good spot. He's Cale Makar. Doesn't get much vitamin D, it looks like, from his DK photos. Got some pretty rosy cheeks. But then you have Bouchard at 68, Sanderson at 6K. Only 3 guys 6K and up. So, I think Makar's in a really good spot, obviously. I think Bouchard's in a fine spot. As long as he gets 20-plus minutes, he can give you one of his 2.6 DK points or 31 DK point performances. You know what I mean? He's pretty bipolar, but that's why you play him in GPPs. I think Sanderson's in a low-key good spot at 6K, but then you start getting in the mid-range, and I think that's the range I want to live in. We'll talk, Cliffy will talk about it, but Wallman at 52, Nurse at 53, Hannafin even, Ekholm. There's a bunch of guys in that mid-range I'd rather play if I'm not spending up for Makar.
Yeah, I Makar does have the top projection on the board tonight at 13.94 DK points. Bouchard does have a slightly higher point per dollar projection, so I think it's just a matter of how much you want to spend. I agree with you that Jake Sanderson's in a fine spot here. I actually don't mind him, but I think I'd be more inclined to include Sanderson with my power play stacks. I don't mind just straight up one-offing Makar here tonight. I certainly don't mind just straight up one-offing Bouchard, considering Draisaitl and McDavid are out, and the defense is probably going to have to generate the offense for Edmonton. If I play Sanderson, it's going to be with the top line, or it's going to be with the power play from Edmonton. So I generally speaking, I do like Makar and Bouchard better, even if they're more expensive. In that mid-price range, there are a lot of guys that I do like here tonight. Obviously, all the guys from Edmonton. I really do think, if Edmonton gets to 4 or 5 goals here tonight, that the defense is going to have to get heavily involved. So I have them Wallman, Nurse, Ekholm, but Ekholm is reasonably cheap, so I think you're fine to play any 3 of them depending on what you need. Brandon Montour for Seattle, I think, is just fine against Edmonton here tonight, but I much prefer to play Noah Hannafin because it's a really good power play spot for Vegas. If you want to get a little bit cheaper, Luke Hughes is okay, but I'd honestly rather go play Vince Dunn. I'll mention Mason Lowry just because San Jose does take penalties. Their penalty kill does suck. It's not like Boston has a good power play, but somebody's got to score goals in that game. If you want to get maybe they do, maybe they don't. If you want to get a little bit cheaper, like Brett Pesci's okay. Andrew Peak is okay. Luca Cagnoni, I couldn't believe how much ice time Cagnoni played in his first game. He played 23 minutes in his first game, still running the power play for San Jose. So obviously he's in there. Adam Larson getting 21, 22 minutes in a good spot for Seattle. Jake McCabe is projecting well. Watch for the Ottawa defenseman. I don't think Jensen's playing. I didn't see an update on Hamonic. He didn't finish their last game. Like Artem Zub might have to get a lot of ice time here tonight. Speaking of injured defensemen, Josh Manson's still out for Colorado, and I think while we were on the show, they announced Samuel Girard is going to be out tonight again as well. Sam Malinsky and Ryan Lindgren are probably both going to have to play 18 to 20 minutes here tonight. I really do like Malinsky, but if you need to save some money, going down to Lindgren, I think is fine. The other cheap guy is Michael Delgado under 3K. It's basically just him and Lindgren that I would play under 3K. There's not a lot available for punts here tonight.
Yeah, I prefer Malinsky too, but one thing, if you've never watched Ryan Lindgren play, is he will throw himself in front of pucks. That's what he does. That's the only thing he does. And he'll end up bloody and bruised every game. That's just what it was. Let's talk about goalies, even though we really don't want to. The 8K range is fun. Stewie Skinner, Aiden Hill, Korpisalo, Blackwood, Jake Allen. I think it would be Blackwood for me if I had to spend up. I think Aiden Hill's fine too. 8,400 is pretty expensive. The Toronto starter interests me. Nashville, they're spiraling. They're both 75.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Woll starting tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Woll's fine. I think if it's Ullmark for Ottawa, that makes some sense too. I didn't see a confirmed starter there. That's really about as low as I would go, unless it is Decord in net for Seattle. He's 6,900. If Grubauer starts, I just can't do it. But if it's Decord at 6,900, I'd definitely be interested in that. We'll have to see who the Detroit starter is. I don't have a ton of interest, but if it's Lyon, he's 6,800, but we'll see there. I think Decord, Ullmark, and Woll would be the cheapies for me.
Yeah, top of the board for me, it's Aiden Hill and Jake Allen. Aiden Hill has the second highest projection, Jake Allen third on Stochastic tonight. And even though Hill is more expensive, he has a better point per dollar value than Allen does. I think those are the two expensive goalies for me. For the cheaper goalies, I don't mind Woll here tonight. I do worry about Toronto kind of laying an egg and Nashville kind of coming out because they did get called out pretty hard by their coach. It's one of those, they don't put in a good effort tonight, then you prove your coach right. So maybe that'll worry you a little bit, but 7,500 top projected goalie on the board. Tough not to like him. If you want to go down, honestly, I get wanting to play one of the Detroit starters, but considering that Decord is 6,900, assuming Decord starts, I'd just go play Decord. So for me, for the cheap goalies, it's Decord if you need a punt, or if not, just go up to Joseph Woll.
Yep. I didn't see next week's schedule, but I'm sure we'll be back.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be back Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for sure. We're gonna have that schedule through the end of the year. One thing we're gonna keep an eye on is contests on those Monday, Wednesday, Friday slates, because they've been, especially Wednesdays, they've been nuking those Wednesday contests. So I'd say for sure Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, the rest of the season, obviously. As long as the contests are fine, we'll be here Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But if they nuke them like they have been, then we're probably not going to have shows on some of those Wednesdays or something.
Yeah, like that. I would say the most likely of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday is Friday, which is a 6-gamer. Monday and Wednesday are 4-gamers. We'll have to really see. Who knows? But Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, for sure. Who are you liking for your hat trick pick?
I choose them. Against my beloved Montreal Canadiens tonight, I'm going with Valeri Nichushkin.
He is your guy, though. He's been your guy for a long time. So no one can say you weren't an Shushkin fan before he got to the Avs, because you'd be pissed when they kept him in the bottom 6 of Dallas. Screw the Devils. Drake Batherson.
Fair enough. I mean, I don't think the Devils win tonight, but I am rooting for them as a Habs fan.
That is true. I was going to go to like a Boston Sharks pick, but like I'm going to pretend like that game doesn't exist because it sucks. We'll be back Tuesday for sure, possibly Monday. Remember, promo code CYCLE. You can get the first week of MLB for $1. Good luck, everybody, tonight. Hopefully we win some money. I don't know who Frostback's going to play because there are no Ducks, but good luck, everybody.
Good luck tonight, everyone.